In the middle of the North Atlantic, southeast of Iceland and west of Norway, lies a small archipelago, almost forgotten by the world. The Faroe Islands, 18 islands suspended between wind and waves. Few people know this place, yet those who arrive rarely wish to leave. The Faroe Islands lie more than 300 kilometers from the nearest mainland in every direction. Geographically, this is one of the most isolated places in Europe. Yet around 50,000 people still call these islands home, and they live remarkably well. The cliffs here are not simply landscapes for photographs. They are the true border between humanity and untamed nature. The wind can become strong enough to knock down an adult within seconds. This is a place where nature constantly reminds people how small they truly are. The villages of the Faroe Islands look as though they were painted from an old fairy tale. Small, quiet, and almost completely separated from the outside world. Each house carries its distinctive grass roof, clinging to the hillsides as if it has stood there for centuries. And in many cases, it truly has. Fog in the Faroe Islands is not an occasional event. It is a permanent part of everyday life. There are days when people cannot even see the house across the road, and that is considered completely normal. Locals learn to move and work even when the world around them disappears into mist. The first question most people ask about the Faroe Islands is simple. Why choose to live here? Why choose a place of endless wind, constant fog, and isolation in the middle of the ocean? To understand the answer, we first need to understand how the Faroese see the world. In the Faroe Islands, you almost never see large trees growing naturally outdoors. The ocean wind is so strong and constant that no tree can survive without protection. Instead, the entire archipelago is covered in green grass, a unique shade of green found only in places like this. In the Faroe Islands, rain does not fall downward. It moves sideways with the wind. Ordinary raincoats are almost useless because the water comes from every direction at once. People here do not speak about bad weather. They simply say, the wind is a little stronger today. During summer, the sun in the Faroe Islands almost never fully disappears. Night becomes a long twilight, neither completely dark nor fully bright. Children still play outside at 10 in the evening, and that feels entirely normal here. In contrast, winter in the Faroe Islands becomes dark very early. Sometimes there are only a few hours of daylight in an entire day. Darkness is not seen as something frightening, but as a time to stay indoors and gather together. The people here have learned how to find warmth within the cold itself. Faroese have a saying, If you do not like the weather, wait 5 minutes. In a single day, you may experience sunshine, rain, snow, and fog, all before noon. Weather is not something people plan around here, but something they learn to accept. Faroese people do not fight nature. They read it, study it, and move together with it. A fisherman here can read the direction of the wind, the color of waves, and the shape of clouds better than any weather application. It is knowledge passed down through generations, impossible to learn from books alone. In the Faroe Islands, sheep outnumber people, around 80,000 sheep compared to 50,000 residents. They roam freely across the islands, even along cliffs where humans hesitate to walk. Here, sheep are not simply livestock. They are symbols of resilience against harsh nature. The Faroe Islands are home to one of the largest puffin populations in the world. These small birds with bright orange beaks nest directly along the coastal cliffs and show almost no fear of humans. For locals, puffins are deeply connected to childhood memories and the feeling of home. Children in the Faroe Islands grow up beside nature in the most literal sense possible. Sheep, seabirds, and the ocean are not distant concepts. They are the close neighbors of every family. The relationship with nature is not taught in classrooms. It is lived from the very first days of life. In the Faroe Islands, some waterfalls plunge directly from cliffs into the ocean without ever touching the ground below. This is not an optical illusion. It is the true geography of a place where the boundary between land and sea almost disappears. Nature here needs nothing extra to become extraordinary. Vikings arrived in the Faroe Islands during the 9th century, when much of Europe was still wild and largely unexplored. They did not come to conquer, but to settle, searching for a place remote enough to live on their own terms. More than 1,000 years later, their descendants are still doing the same. Faroese is a language entirely its own, neither Danish nor Norwegian. It is closer to Old Icelandic than to most modern languages, as if time itself moved more slowly here. Language is not only a way to communicate, it is proof that Faroese identity is still alive. Although politically connected to Denmark, the Faroe Islands have their own flag, passports, and autonomous system of government. The Merkig flag, with its red cross over white and blue, flies everywhere, on homes, boats, and cars. It is not merely a political symbol, it is a declaration of identity. Olavsoka is the unofficial national day of the Faroe Islands. A moment when the entire archipelago pauses to celebrate being Faroese. Traditional circle dances, ancient songs, and handmade clothing have survived almost unchanged for centuries. Here, tradition is not performed for tourists. It remains part of everyday life. Traditional knitting in the Faroe Islands is not simply a refined hobby. It is a survival skill passed down through generations. Every pattern woven into a sweater tells a story about the land, the sea, and the people who came before. While the outside world races forward, life here still allows time for every careful stitch.
Faroese is taught as the first language in schools, not Danish and not English. This is a deliberate choice. Protecting a language means protecting an entire worldview. When a language disappears, it is not only words that vanish, but a unique way of seeing reality itself.
In the Faroe Islands, people often leave their doors unlocked and bicycles unattended in the streets. It is not because they are careless, but because in a place where everyone knows one another, trust becomes the foundation of society. This is a kind of safety that cannot be bought with money or built with walls.
When one family in the village faces hardship, the entire community steps in to help. Without being asked and without anyone organizing it. This culture grew naturally from centuries of isolation, where survival depended on mutual support. Community here is not an abstract idea. It is something lived every day. Social life in the Faroe Islands does not happen online. It happens inside small cafes and neighbors' kitchens. When people meet, they genuinely talk to each other instead of sitting side by side staring at phones. Real connection does not require Wi-Fi. Many villages in the Faroe Islands contain only a few dozen families, small enough that everyone knows each other's names and circumstances. In a place like this, it becomes difficult to live selfishly or ignore the people around you. A small community does not limit people. It keeps them responsible to one another. Family dinners in the Faroe Islands are not simply routines. They are the center of social life. Multiple generations live close together, eat together, and care for one another in ways modern society is slowly losing. Here, family is not something people struggle to preserve. It feels as natural as breathing. Children in the Faroe Islands are allowed to play independently from a very young age, walking to school, exploring the hills, and climbing mountains. This is not parental carelessness, but trust in the surrounding community. When the entire village feels like family, no child is ever truly alone. To connect the islands together, the Faroe Islands built an astonishing network of tunnels through mountains and beneath the sea. These roads rival infrastructure found anywhere else in Europe, despite being created by an archipelago of only 50,000 people. It is proof that a small population does not mean small thinking. The Faroe Islands possess something most of the world does not: a traffic roundabout. Beneath the ocean floor, deep below sea level, where 3 tunnels meet, it is one of the strangest intersections on Earth. and a reflection of the Faroese refusal to accept limitations. Faroe Islands are moving rapidly toward 100% renewable energy, with wind and hydropower gradually replacing fossil fuels. Electric cars are becoming increasingly common, and charging stations exist even in the smallest villages. This archipelago may be isolated, but it is far from outdated. The Faroese know exactly where they want to go. Tórshavn is the smallest capital city in Europe, yet it contains everything a modern city needs: restaurants, museums, cinemas, and high-speed internet. Geographic isolation does not mean a lack of comfort or opportunity. This place proves that quality of life is not measured by urban size. The sea is not only scenery in the Faroe Islands, it is the economy itself. Fishing and seafood processing account for more than 90% of the island's exports. Every vessel leaving the harbor becomes part of the economic system that sustains the entire community. The Faroe Islands are among the world's leading salmon producers, with fish farms located in bays naturally protected by mountains and hills. Clean, cold water and strong natural currents create ideal farming conditions found in very few places on Earth. It is a perfect example of turning natural conditions into economic advantage. The Faroese economic philosophy is relatively simple. Do one thing exceptionally well, instead of doing many things poorly. The seafood industry here goes beyond raw fishing. Products are processed, packaged, and exported worldwide at high standards. Niche markets with exceptional quality are often far more sustainable than mass markets. Average income in the Faroe Islands ranks among the highest in Europe, yet you would hardly notice it from the way people live. There is little display of wealth, no obsession with luxury cars or unnecessarily large houses. Here, prosperity is measured through free time and the quality of relationships, rather than material possessions. The Faroe Islands are facing a serious demographic challenge. Many young women leave the islands for education and work opportunities elsewhere and never return. This has created a significant gender imbalance, especially in smaller villages. Geographic isolation and limited career diversity are often cited as the main reasons. The cost of living in the Faroe Islands is significantly higher than in many parts of Europe because almost everything must be imported by ship or airplane. A bundle of vegetables, a carton of milk, or a simple jacket all carry the added cost of transportation from distant places. This is the real price of living in a place that is beautiful yet isolated. The Faroese whale hunting tradition, known as grain-to-drop, remains a deeply controversial subject between local communities and the outside world. For many older Faroese, it is a cultural heritage practiced for centuries, a source of food and a bond that unites communities. For younger generations and the international community, it raises difficult questions about the line between tradition and modern ethics. Young Faroese generations grew up with the internet, social media, and opportunities to study at prestigious European universities. They have been exposed to different values and different ways of living, and that naturally places pressure upon older traditions. The question Faroe is asking itself today is, which traditions are worth preserving and what should evolve?
Long and dark Faroese winters are not easy for everyone. Seasonal depression is a recognized mental health issue here. Geographic isolation, combined with extended darkness, can create intense psychological pressure. This is the reality that beautiful landscape photographs rarely show.
The generational divide in the Faroe Islands has become more visible than ever before. Parents hope their children will continue the fishing traditions and traditional way of life, while younger generations seek greater freedom and opportunity. There is no clear right or wrong answer, only a society trying to redefine itself. When tourism began growing too quickly, the Faroe Islands did something few places would dare to do. They temporarily closed famous sites for restoration and protection. Instead of maximizing ticket sales while nature deteriorated, they chose preservation, even if it meant losing revenue. It is an approach to tourism that much of the world could learn from. Tourism in the Faroe Islands is not designed for mass consumption. Visitors are carefully guided on where to go, what to do, and what should be avoided. Local residents are directly involved in managing tourism, not simply for profit, but because of their deep attachment to the land. Sustainable tourism here is not a slogan. It is part of daily life. Faroese cuisine does not try to satisfy everyone. It reflects exactly what the sea and islands naturally provide. Fresh fish, lamb, local vegetables, and recipes passed through generations form the heart of the food culture here. This is cuisine that does not require advertising, because it already tells its own story. The Faroe Islands do not actively embrace giant hotel chains or luxury resorts disconnected from local culture. Accommodation here is often provided through local homes or small family-run guest houses. People do not come to Faroe to remain inside a bubble of comfort. They come to genuinely experience the place itself. Many famous destinations around the world are being destroyed by their own popularity. Too many visitors, too much waste, and too much environmental pressure. The Faroe Islands looked at those examples and consciously chose a different path. Fewer visitors, but better experiences. This is not isolation from the world. It is intentional self-preservation. The best form of tourism happens when visitors and locals genuinely meet each other, not as customers and service providers. In the Faroe Islands, that boundary often disappears naturally. People share the same table, listen to the same songs, and look toward the same horizon. It is something no travel app could ever truly arrange. Every morning in the Faroe Islands begins the same way. Wind, sea, clouds, and the feeling that the world is far larger than what you can see. There are no screaming phone alarms, no endless social media notifications, and no morning traffic jams. Only light, slowly replacing darkness as the new day begins according to the rhythm of nature. If you ask an older Faroese person what makes life here meaningful,
they rarely mention the scenery or the history. They speak instead about knowing who they are and where they belong. In a modern world where many people are desperately searching for identity, that may be the greatest luxury of all.
Faroe Islands are not perfect. No place truly is. They have contradictions, unresolved problems, and difficult questions without clear answers. Yet what makes them special is this. People here do not pretend everything is fine. They confront their reality honestly, every single day.
Life in the Faroe Islands moves more slowly than in most parts of the world, and that is not a weakness. Slower does not mean less productive or less successful. It simply means having more time to notice the things around you. The modern world constantly tells us to do more, go farther, move faster, and become bigger. The Faroe Islands ask a different question. How much do we actually need before it is enough? The answer may not depend on where you are running toward, but on what you are running away from. In the Faroe Islands, cultural inheritance is not something people fight to preserve. It happens naturally when generations live closely together for long enough. A child learns to weave fishing nets not because it is required, but because a grandfather is doing it, and the child wants to join. That is how culture passes from one pair of hands to another across thousands of years.
Because the weather in the Faroe Islands changes constantly, moments of clear skies and beautiful sunsets become especially precious. Nobody ignores them. People stop, look out the window, step outside, and remain silent for a moment. When beauty does not arrive on a schedule, people learn to appreciate it more deeply. The greatest lesson from the Faroe Islands is not about tunnels or salmon farming. It is about how well people can live when they know who they are and where they belong. Identity is not something you discover somewhere else. It is something you build where you already stand. The greatest lesson from the Faroe Islands is not about tunnels or salmon farming. It is about how well people can live when they know who they are and where they belong. Identity is not something you discover somewhere else. It is something you build where you already stand.
There are days in the Faroe Islands when going outside is simply impossible. The wind is too strong, the rain too heavy, and the fog hides everything. Those are not wasted days. They are days for reading, cooking, talking, and thinking about what truly matters. Sometimes nature forces people to slow down, and that may be the best thing that can happen.
The Faroe Islands are not paradise. They are a real place where real people live real lives within an unforgiving natural environment. Yet that is exactly what makes them special. Nothing here feels artificial or staged for visitors. It is one of the few places left in the world where what you see is exactly what exists.
Perhaps the most valuable lesson the Faroe Islands can offer the world is this: peace does not come from having more, but from needing less of what does not truly matter. A meaningful life does not have to be loud, fast, or filled with screens. Sometimes all you need is a hill, a strong wind, and the feeling that you are standing exactly where you belong.